so back to the subject at hand is that it's been this long trajectory of changing not only what we see on the surface, but also the mindset of people, because the inequality and the white supremacy is so ingrained into our people that people aren't even aware of it. White people do not have to think about being white, ever.
And you have to think about being black every day.
I don't have to think about it. The world reminds me to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't like to waste mental energy on that.
Yeah, of course.
Unless it's something that
meaning you have to think about it because it's conditionally you have to think about it because you're forced to think about it.
No, I'm having to think about it because when people interact with me, they go, "You're black." It's in the subtext of all the interactions. You can see it in the way people look at you. You can see it in your media. You know, you see it everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in the TV shows we watch. Like Friends is one of the biggest TV shows on ever. There's no niggas in there. So when people talk about like, oh, this new, have you seen this new TV show? Have you seen this, that, and the third or whatever? And they get all excited about some show. I'm like, okay, so Game of Thrones, European history, white people. White Viking people. Oh, there's a new story. I'm like, oh, are there black people in it? Are there other people of other cultures in it? Even Game of Thrones, all the niggas in there, the white girl takes them over, and then she kills they kill their leader, and then the white blonde takes them over, and then she becomes the mother of their dragons, and then she becomes this liberator of all the brown people, and then when they fight the zombie people, they send the niggas in first, and they get wiped out by the zombies.
But at least the zombies are super white.
Yeah, the zombies are white. They call them White Walkers. They're calling them White Walkers. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, and when people are eating it up, oh wow, this is amazing, and I go, yeah. Imagine
let's talk about this for a second. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? It is a tangent because I do get a little bit like I think this can go overboard a little bit because I get annoyed when I see like a historical thing and they don't put it. They put in like ethnic people just because Hollywood needs to have its diversity quota, rather than like representing the geography of the history of the story. Like if it is about Vikings, shouldn't it be about Scandinavian people? And those were white people. And then
okay, now name how many of those we have for anything of any country of any culture in African history.
Well, this is the problem, is that the stories in African history are all like the slave movies of like 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, it's like American history. Yeah, it's American history.
Well, one of the things about the African history is that they don't know much about it because it wasn't recorded.
That's not true. It's not. Of course it's documented. Okay, so African...
There's all kinds of myth, yeah.
Yeah, first of all, Africa is a continent.
Yeah.
And then you have the different countries. And then even when you do have stuff like Egypt, there's white supremacists who claim up and down that Egyptians were white. Even the brown-skinned people who live there now think that they're the Egyptians that built the pyramids. Those are niggas. Niggas built pyramids. Dark-skinned people like my complexion.
Yeah.
And I say the N-word because it's funny. Like black people built the pyramids. Nobody just wants to admit it. So everything that is right now, it comes from Africa. The gold, all that stuff, it's documented, but it's not told here. And then even more so, it's erased from history.
And all so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
So much like the kingdoms of Ethiopia and like Somalia, East Africa, they have rich histories. And besides, like you were just, and what I said was really stupid. Sorry, like there is really strong myth within all different countries and tribes that are probably rich with narrative that could be
definitely rich with narrative,
creatively implemented. And it must be more of like a demographic decision when the Hollywood producers are deciding where they're going to invest or whatever their decision process is.
Precisely. Yeah. And it's connected to not just white supremacy, but there's also money there. It's connected to money. But the reason why it's connected to money is because who has the money and who's buying what? It's white people that need to see themselves in everything. It's the huge narcissism. And not narcissism in terms of, oh, I love myself. This is the psychological aspect. There's a book by Alexander Lowen called Narcissism, and it's the idea that narcissist looks into the surface of the water and sees his own reflection and falls in love with his reflection.
Mm.
And the psychological component says that if he had recognized that what he was looking at was himself, he would not have become so enamored with the image. It was as if he was looking at a painting. So there's a disassociation of himself to focus on a picture of himself. So people become obsessed with a picture of themselves. This is a huge psychological thing that we all do. We have the picture of what it means to be a white person, that or what it means to what normal is. And the narrative there is that normal is American white. I even asked the student one day, this was back when I was asking the students where they came from. I'm like, where are your people from? I would say, where are you from? This one person, she said, I'm from Somalia, descendant third or whatever. Another person said, I'm French, because this was an international school. So this person was from France, this person was from Germany, this person was from Australia, etc. And then I asked this girl, a white girl with brown hair. I said, so where are you from? She said, I'm just typical American. And I said, well, technically that would make you brown-skinned. And she goes, oh, yeah, you're right. So I guess I'm like Irish and German. And I go, see? Typical American. Am I typical American? No, I'm black. Mm-hmm. So I have some history that's African. But for her, that's how deep the programming is. You know? Mm-hmm. So even with the titles of stuff, everyone has Greek names. We're always telling the same story again. It's Greek. It's European. The philosophers, all the philosophers we have, they're European. The greatest culture in the history of the world is what Athens or Greece or Rome or something like that. That's not true. The greatest cultures in the world, the biggest library in the world, the richest people and the richest kings in the world that have conquered the most land are in Africa. You know, you have African religions, all that stuff. But that story is not of interest to the white human that needs to see themselves in everything.
And it is funny because ancient Egypt and ancient Carthage and some of those North African like major antiquity cities, mm-hmm. people don't really associate them with Africa, right? It's almost like Egypt's its own
thing.
Place. Yeah, right? Like they don't think like, oh, that's African. It's just like Egypt. That's, you know.
Yeah, there's Africa and then there's Egypt.
Yeah, there would be. I mean, almost all of ancient Greek philosophy was derived or dramatically influenced by Egypt being essentially the foundation of that. And also then the Persian empires and other empires.